All right, well, welcome back to another episode of Dennis and the Doc with Mr. Dennis Thamanos. I am Dr. Jim Richards, and it's an exciting time of year in college basketball. Mr. Dennis, I'm kind of looking to gauge your interest on that. Where's your level of excitement at here as we head into, we'll get into the big news of the day, but as we head into Champ Week, Tournament Week, how excited are you?
Yeah, so okay, I actually have been meaning to say this. I don't like these I don't like this week where everybody gets excited for March and don't get me wrong, I love March Madness, love conference tournaments week's one of my favorite weeks of the years, but it's getting over. It's it's akin to me to when you're a kid in school and there's the first college football game of the year coming up and you know the NFL is coming up and you're like, oh, I'm excited for that. But it means you're going back to school. I'm like, that's kind of how I feel with this. Like I'm extremely excited for March Madness. I love this week, the upcoming week, but it means there's only 2 more weeks of real college basketball. That's
Yeah, because as far as it is for me, like the season's over. You know, the fun of having like two games a week, like something to kind of plan your week around. Like, yeah, of course that's the same thing for the next couple of weeks, but it's not the same, you know? Like
Mhm.
we could have three Creighton games left in the season, you know? I'm not super excited about that.
It's like what do you do? I get in such the routine in the middle of the season. You come home from work, you dick around for an hour, and then you watch 4 hours of college ball every night. And I don't I mean, the answer is just I'll watch baseball, but know what I'll I don't know what I'll do when that's gone.
Yeah, because I know between the two of us, you will watch more of the sport at large, where I'm really like, and I'm not to say like I don't flip on a game whenever it's on, but the more of the enjoyment for me comes from watching our team, you know, and going through the ups and downs of the season. You know, I've been adamant all year that I don't just go through the ups of a season. You know, you experience the downs and the lulls with your team too. So yeah, I'm gonna be disappointed that already this week it feels like there's an emptiness. Like I should have watched a game last night.
Yeah, it gets sad. I am someone I think who watches as much of the nationwide. I appreciate the full scope, I think, as much as anyone. And so, what am I gonna do at 10 o'clock without New Mexico, Colorado State to watch? I don't know. It's sad, but enjoy it. No use in enjoy it. It's gonna happen either way, so no use feeling sad.
Yeah, it's that feeling you kind of said this already, so I feel a little redundant, but it's that feeling when you're watching like the Little League World Series when you're 10 years
Yes,
old.
yes, that's a great call out. Yes.
Because that's literally like they tag it as that. Like it's the end of summer. The kids who get to keep playing are the ones that get to extend their summers a little longer. So it absolutely feels like that going into March Madness. You're like, shit, if we don't make the second weekend, if we don't make the, you know, it's
Yeah. Yeah, what am I supposed to do with myself then? Yeah, that's a great call. And I love the Little League World Series as a kid. And it was always the bittersweet moment of seeing the Southwest Regional on the Longhorn Network. One of the sick I was fully into. I was one of the sickos who'd watch that. And
oh yeah.
when you start to the 0-1 New Mexico Colorado game for the right to get after they got spanked by Texas East and Texas West respectively 12 short hours ago.
Yep. So it's one of those things like I'm absolutely buzzing for this champ week for this tournament. Like I think I've had weeks where I've been or years where I've been more excited for champ week. I don't know what that is specifically, but you know, I'm gonna be as up for the tournament as I've ever been.
Yeah, I'll enjoy it. Yeah, I'm faced at the weird, I don't know what I'm gonna do for the tournament. Do I stick in Omaha? Because I don't know, I've been writing a lot of checks saying oh, I'll go to Creighton. And then I say oh, I'll come down to Omaha. And normally I have issues with getting other people to act on stuff, and this time everyone's actually acting on stuff. So I'm like, huh, I have to back out on one of these.
I was
Like,
gonna say we were chatting the other day. We're like, yeah, so we're going, right? We're going wherever we are in the first round. And I'm like, well, we don't get home tournament games that often, so
yeah, yeah, and like I don't care that much about like again, if it's two seed Kansas, two seed Iowa State, I don't really give a shit. But like I told a decent group of people to come down and hang out, and they actually are to my surprise. I was like, huh,
uh,
I have to
because
figure out
because
what
yeah,
we're
it's
doing.
it's one of those things like, do I think we're gonna make the second weekend this year? Yeah, and then can we just go there? Sure, but it's never a guarantee.
No, no, if yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to see how things play out.
Yeah, like if there's like a Wisconsin or a New Mexico that gets drawn to Omaha, I just assume there's no way.
Yeah, it would be tough. Although for a while, Wisconsin drawn to Omaha was probably going to be a bigger reason not to go. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so
We'll figure it out. What if the committee just makes it easy on me and puts Creighton, Wisconsin, New Mexico, and Indianapolis? What if we just do that?
I mean that's not impossible.
Or what if the committee pulls a Lenardi, who I saw in his latest bracket, he has Wisconsin and Marquette playing in the second round again. That I guess
And San
never
Diego State and
happened, but
Grand
once.
Canyon. He had
Yeah.
San Diego State Grand Canyon in the first round.
Did he move Auburn App State? Because that was in his last one.
Oh, probably not.
So maybe the committee will just forget and put us in Omaha.
Yeah,
Maybe.
not if it's as easy as Joe Lenardi makes it look to forget about that stuff.
Are we sure it's actually CHI hosting and not Sokol? Like,
I was gonna say all we have to do is move it to Baxter, then we can play there.
sure. Yeah, shit. Let's do that. Yeah.
Use the Gonzaga loophole.
Yeah. I respect the lengths Gonzaga goes to game the system.
I tweeted like those exact words to somebody a couple weeks ago, like because they don't even host it. They
Yeah.
get either the WCC or this year they got Idaho to host it for them.
Little Idaho trivia. They're the only team that's in NCAA 14 that won't be in the new game.
Yep, did see that. That's unfortunate because of course everyone wanted the Kibby Dome.
Yeah. Maybe they'll put it in as like a legendary stadium, something like
I
that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they give us like a DLC pack with like North Dakota State, like South Dakota, like some of the FCS schools
Yeah. Do you
get the
agree with my
Fargo
take?
Dome.
I tweeted that out that I'm like, yeah, by the way, we've done a great job of staying on topic. But like when I said like I'm sort of convinced EA realizes how massive of a fuck up it would be to half-ass this game. And
Oh, I'm so scared that I think they're actually doing a good job.
it seems like there's a lot of I don't know, we'll see.
They're building everyone up so much that if it sucks, it's going to be devastating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, lots of reasons for excitement right now. Not the least of which because it was announced this morning, but it was announced a few weeks ago if you're following the right people,
Yep.
that Greg McDermott has officially signed his extension that will allow him to retire as a Creighton Blue Jay.
Most likely. Yeah. Barring
Yeah,
something
most likely.
unforeseen.
Well, that's why like some of the people are phrasing it as will retire. That's why I said allow him
Yeah.
to retire if he so chooses, if we so choose.
Yep. Yeah, I would think this takes him to the end. Yeah, it seems like a good deal. Seems fair. Again, I'd assume it's in the 4 million range. I think I read somewhere online from a guy who's had pretty good read on it most of the way. But he said about 4 million, which seems fair, seems fine. It's
Yeah, I think
not
if you did
I
that,
don't really
somebody
care
did
how
the
much we
math
pay.
and yeah, somebody did the math and said because it said he puts him in the top 20. I think that would be 3.6 million or something like that.
Okay.
So throw in bonuses and all that. Yeah, 4 million sounds about right.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, not my money. I don't care. Like you got him. I don't really give a shit how much you could pay him 30 million for all I care.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
my money.
It's not even like one of those things where you can say like, "Oh, I'm just rooting for the salary cap so we can do things in the future." Like, no, it's just something you can take care of that easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Good job, Blossom, getting it done.
Yep.
Had been some rumors of a not great relationship there. Maybe that's the case. Maybe not. Um,
From
yeah.
what I've heard, and I've got like very limited, admittedly, like I'm not like a super source guy, but I got a couple of good ones. Um, they're not like best friends, but again, clearly they're perfectly okay working with each other for the long term, and that's all that matters.
Hmm. Yeah, which is fine. Don't need to be best friends.
No, and I think part of that's too is just the difference between how it was when Rasmussen was here, where they were, that close.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's a little bit of a new world for both of them, but yeah, everyone can just be adults and get shit done, and we'll be just fine here.
Yep. Yeah. So there's no reason you shouldn't continue the upward trajectory. I think the players like him. From everything I've seen, the recruiting's been very good lately. I think you're going to continue to be an attractive portal destination. Which, quick side note on the like portal NIL, like I've heard our NIL situation is pretty good. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like I think we do a pretty good job of taking care of our guys, attracting our guys. That fucking NIL tweets that our players do never don't make me laugh. Like they're the most like it's just like I don't know. I don't know how to
We had
exactly
Stephen
explain it.
Ashworth in the cryo chamber
Yeah,
yesterday.
after the cryo chamber, like Isaac Trout was like at the sports bar that was like an hour and a half outside of Omaha or something like that. Like just like who are these for? Like,
I've
come on.
said it before. I'm convinced half of them are money laundering.
Yeah, they might be.
Like
Yeah.
we're just passing some Buffett money through a intermediary or something like that.
Yeah, they always make me laugh. Like the just the simplicity of them, just like how like not even like they're like just such a like classic Twitter ad of like oh anytime I need a post game meal, I always stop by Ray's Sports Bar.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure you
burger
do.
in town. Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
you
for
do.
sure. Um, but yeah, I don't see any reason why it won't continue to be an attractive destination for like transfers. I kind of wonder if Rhodey ends up here, which I mean he's been shit at Virginia. I don't remember if I said this. I told you that, right? I don't remember if I said this on
Yeah,
the
you did.
pod about the yeah, didn't know what type of offensive system they were gonna play at Virginia. Yeah, who would have?
Yeah,
Um
just nobody who watched college basketball for the last decade.
yeah, so I mean you gotta be happy with the extension again. We'll get on like there'll be times I criticize Greg. I think he can do things better. I don't think he's the best coach in college basketball by any means I could think of. Like when I ran that poll and I said, where would you put him? Um, and like I don't know, I guess like maybe if people want to read it as like, oh, I think he's a great fit for the school, like I wouldn't take anyone over him. Like, okay, I disagree with that, but like I sort of get where you're coming from at least. Like if I were to rank top coaches in college basketball, I think he probably comes down somewhere in the 15 range, give or take. Um, Probably a little more take or give, whatever means higher than 15 or lower, bigger number than 15, as in 16's bigger. Um, and I think that's pretty reasonable for a Jesuit school in Omaha, Nebraska with 4,500 undergrad.
Yeah, well, you look at it and you say, okay, so let's say I think I came out with like he'd be 14th in my list or something like that. And you look at it and you say, okay, how many of those 13 would come here? And if the answer is zero, which it probably is, then you've got your best case scenario.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, shit, even if you say how many of the 13 above him, like how many of the 13 below him would come here, it's probably not many of those either. So,
I wonder, honestly, now, because it's been so long since we've had a coaching opening, like, is it a more attractive destination than we think? Does it still have the problems we think it would have? How much does our NIL situation stabilize that? How much would that NIL situation change if McDermott wasn't here?
yeah, I think they're all interesting questions that we can worry about after 2028.
Yeah, and what a feeling that is. And it could be, of course, a thing where you know, he could still, I think, retire in the midst of this contract, and it wouldn't really surprise me.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what the structure is. I mean, the way everyone's reporting on it sounds like he is coaching till 2027, pretty much no matter what.
yeah, which I know hadn't always been the case. I think the last kind of couple of years it sort of seems to have rejuvenated him, which is definitely an interesting pivot when you see like the Jay Wrights going the other way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, when you see everyone else in college sports turning to, no, this is tiring, no, this is taxing. You say you have a coach who, all right, this still makes him happy, he still wants to do it, he's okay locking in for a longer term deal. Yeah, that's surprising.
especially because like I kind of thought he'd want to watch a couple of years of Doug in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Like I kind of thought like it made a lot of sense for him to like take a couple of years off, retire, um, watch the final. I would imagine Doug doesn't have too many years left. He's already sort of on the lower echelon of athleticism if that gets any worse, when it inevitably will get worse as he ages. Um, yeah, I kind of thought he'd take a couple of years and sort of see the end of his career through and relax, golf, and it wouldn't shock me if like he was the type of guy who retired, took 2 years, then took like a Grand Canyon job. Like and
Yeah, that's why like I honestly was more worried about the Arizona State one than the Ohio State one. I'm like, yeah, there's somewhere you could go and just low effort retire.
the only reason I did it was just because of the Big 12 move. Like I think in the Pac-12 that would have been
Oh
fun.
yeah.
If you think it like the Arizona State moving to the new Big 12, like that's not a job. If you half-ass that job, you're going to 118.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of why it didn't make sense. And I don't think Arizona State's funding is very good. Um, like I think they have kind of an apathetic fan base, which there's a lot of other
No.
shit to do there. So who wouldn't? And
Yeah.
half of them OD anyways. Um, but like that, no, like that's kind of why I wasn't worried this time was because like thinking through it logically, you're like Arizona State, like I don't think like that's not a job you can just go cash checks. I mean, I guess maybe it is depending on what they have. Like it's a job you could cash checks, but like he seems too prideful to me to go 6-24 and 1-17 in conference. Like
Yeah.
that just seems weird to me to being so clearly in the top three of a premier conference to going to a school that doesn't really care about basketball. You're going to be underfunded. You're going to be like you think you like Arizona State. If you manage to find a way to compete with Kansas in the new Big 12, my hat's off to you. That will never happen.
Well, yeah. I
So
mean, and again, and here's a quick tangent, just like the fact that Houston did that so quick. Again, it's not getting enough attention for how wild that is. I know it's not the same situation, obviously, but beating up on Kansas year one is ridiculous.
you said Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Houston's gonna absolutely fucking they get them in Houston Saturday, which remember Kansas killed them in Allen. I know you meant beating up on them record wise,
Yeah. Yeah.
but like I think Houston's gonna fucking kill them.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be much of a game, honestly.
Turns out the team that's been top three in Ken Palm the majority of the last 3 years, and one of those was missing a NBA lottery pick for almost the entirety of it, was actually pretty good. Who would have thought?
Yep. Yep.
Who would have fucking thought? Yeah, dude, I'm so pissed. Like again, somehow we always find our way back to Houston. Like I think I have to like overcompensate and like sing their praise just because there are still people who, and I get it's not an aesthetically pleasing style of basketball. Like it's not, um, like they don't have like a Dalton Connect who gets hot. Like they don't have like they're not a UConn or like when UConn's humming, they're just beat the shit out of anyone in the country. But like they went into what everybody agrees is the toughest conference in the country, except maybe ACC coaches. Um, and yeah, they went 27-3, had a 1 point a road loss at Hilton, which they were tied with 30 seconds left, and lost at Allen Fieldhouse. That's it this entire year. They have 3 losses. Like that's ridiculous. And they had 5-star sophomore who's like borderline first round pick, blow his Achilles, like in sometime in 2023. I want to say like late November, early December. And then yeah, it sucks now that they've had Francis, who I think will be fine, but sprained his ankle, and then I think Tugler's done for the year.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
team gets hurt every fucking year, and it's so annoying. Like I really want, if assuming like Creighton or Wisconsin can't win the title, I really want Houston to win it.
Agree. Agree completely.
Like just the fucking, and I want them to do it as tough a path as possible. Like it goes back to, I mean, they made the Final Four what 3 years ago, and everyone's like, everyone bitches like, oh, they didn't play him. It's like, okay, like who'd you want them to play? Like, sorry, Illinois lost to Loyola. Like, sorry, Oregon State got hot and won 7 games in a row. Like what do you want them to do about it?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it's
just
the I've never liked that argument in March either. It's to me it's irrelevant.
unless Marquette goes on like a Mickey Mouse run this year.
Yeah, then we'll bring it back. Then we'll revive it. But yeah, that was talking Houston, as we always seem to find a way to do.
Yeah. Um, Mountain West, I don't know. That's fun
Yeah,
there.
did we get any Mountain West in?
Obligatory Mountain West.
Yeah, 7-bid Mountain West. UNLV is going to win the conference tournament.
If UNLV just didn't, and fuck, I brought it up as a joke, and now here we go. If UNLV just like didn't not show up three, like somehow they got killed by Loyola Marymount, killed by Southern, and killed by Air Force. Like you take out those 3 games, it's a damn good team that's probably comfortably in an at-large.
I was going to say I think that's a 7 seed without those, maybe higher.
Beat Creighton, beat San Diego State, swept New Mexico, beat Boise State. They would have beat Utah State too if it wasn't for that like 5 point final possession.
Yeah.
Um, Lost in double OT to St. Mary's. Like it's a pretty damn good resume outside of 3 games where they just decided not to play basketball.
I mean, you flip one of those games and they're probably like firmly on the bubble.
Yeah, probably. Or the Air Force losses by 2 instead of 32. But
Well, because that one's especially bad because I think they were at least close to fully healthy for that one.
yeah, I think
The
both
other,
played.
yeah, the other two at least you could say it was due to injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good team that it lost its age decently well. Like it's a lot. It's a better team than we thought we lost to.
For sure, for sure.
Which what does that make that effort? I guess it does make that effort more acceptable, but like does it excuse the absolute no show? Not really, but like it's not.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't lose to like a what equates to a mid-tier WCC team. Like you lost to a okay, like top 80 team.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the same thing. I think we mentioned that in one of our early pods this season that we played so many teams that were in that preseason KenPom like 55 to 75 range that we said like, yeah, a couple of them will probably end up being much better than that. A couple of them could be much worse than that, and you just have to hope the inevitable loss in there falls to one of the good ones.
Yeah.
We ended up taking 2 losses in that range, but you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah. So I mean, we're up to. Oh, I guess we're back up to 10th now. We were at ninth in Ken Palm for a brief second. That was
yeah,
fun.
Duke. I think Duke copped us.
I think Bama did.
Was it? I thought Bama was hanging around the 5, 6, 7 range for a
Bama's
while.
0.02 ahead of us, so I have to assume some of the late night results swung it back in their direction.
Huh.
But whatever. Um, yeah, I guess so. Do we want to start at Marquette? Just kind of recap that a bit.
Yeah, we can. So, I finally made it back to town for a game. Got to enjoy that one in person. Probably the game we all should have expected to see, even if it wasn't, even if I imagine a large portion of our fan base figured it would be a blowout.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing. Like I wanted a game at full strength.
Yeah.
Just because it's I mean when those two guys are out, it's a negative free roll. Um, you don't get anything for beating them and you get criticized for losing. But yeah, I mean they're a solid team. They played pretty well. I didn't really think we played that bad. Um, but yeah, I mean put them away late. Trey had another good game. He's as close as he has been all year to what he was last year, which is very important.
Yep.
Uh,
It was, I think, one of the games that we've actually gotten a lot of people involved offensively.
yeah,
Like it was kind of a no-show for Ashworth, but he didn't do anything wrong, so
yeah,
tough to criticize.
yeah. I didn't think there were any big. Was it that game or Seton Hall where Miller did Miller Trout hit a couple shots that game, or was that Seton Hall?
I think,
No, they didn't.
well,
Seton.
Seton Hall, I know Trout hit 2 or 3. He hit 3, I think.
Yeah, I guess we kind of skipped over that, but oh well.
Oh yeah,
Whatever, blew them out. I don't think they're that good. They'll probably be an 11 seed play-in, which seems very fitting for them. It's
yeah. Can
about
I just mention this for a moment? Because I had people, I did like a tweet like, "Oh wow, we could end up with Seton Hall on the 3 line at the Big East tournament. Like that would be huge." I had people saying that they'd rather play Marquette remove your head from your rectum for like 15 seconds and realize what a terrible take that is.
Yeah.
Like we demolished Seton Hall a week ago, played a tight game against Marquette's backups, and with Oso for sure back and Kolek probably back, you want to take your chances with the top five team. I do not. I don't think that's that weird to say.
Yeah, I'd probably agree, assuming you're I get yeah, if your goal is to I mean to win the Big East tournament as it should be, maybe
Yeah,
Marquette
like
flips UConn. Like I don't think we can't beat Marquette necessarily.
no,
Um
me either. But if it's just as simple as you want the easiest path to a championship,
yeah.
then you want Marquette on the other side of the bracket, maybe beating UConn.
Hmm.
Your best chance involves not having to play both of those teams.
Yeah. Yeah, playing them back to back would be really, really tough.
Yeah.
If you do it and you
So
win, you probably end up. Although the committee doesn't really care about conference title. Like
not lately, yeah.
I was gonna say if you win it, like you for sure end up at two. But like I'm not even 100% sure that's true.
What was that year that Iowa went on that Big Ten tournament run and they moved from a five to a five
Yeah,
and then still played Richmond?
I was gonna say. And how did they back that up? They proved they
Yeah.
could be wrong.
Yeah, no, they did not.
No, won't. Or like when Tennessee, I think that was the same year, right? The Tennessee
It
bitched
was
about
the same year.
being a three,
Yep.
which to be fair, they absolutely should have been better than a three, but then promptly lost in the second round.
Yep. So
One.
yeah, it's one of those things like if you're saying it because you think that losing in the Big East tournament actually wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, like, okay, I can get there, but at some time we have to start treating this like a big boy program that can win and then get rested for the next week and win again.
Yeah. Hang on. So filibuster for a second.
Okay. Yeah, so the Marquette game is what it is. We know we struggle with five out offenses. I do think if ever there was a game to abandon the drop coverage and play a little hedge, this was probably like I don't know. At one point, I was concerned that we it seemed like we weren't doing the things that we would have needed to do to slow down this particular offense. Like can understand not preparing for Iguodaro being out. That's fine. That's why again I'm not going to get too hard on it that you have him out, you have Kolek out. It's not what you prepared for. That's one thing, but you know you're going to play, and I think Greg even said it in his post game presser. He said, you know, you're going to play at least one team that will play that way in the tournament. Like if we draw 14, that's what they're going to do to us. If we see Vermont in the first round, they're going to play five out against us. If we play against Huss, he's going to play five out against us, right? Like they know that that's our bread and butter, and will try to get us out of our comfort zone in that way. So it's really just a matter of making sure you have a game plan for those situations and you know where to go to, even if you're not expecting it. Um,
I'm
as-
back by the way. If you need anything,
uh,
if you need me covered. What were you talking about? Just potential first round matchups?
that and playing against five out offenses.
Yeah, it doesn't worry me as much as I think it worries other people. Like I would prefer not to see it, obviously. Um, but I don't know. It doesn't worry me as much, I guess. We'll see, I guess, how it looks.
Well, we're going to get some practice on Saturday because Villanova will exclusively play that way against us.
That game
They seem,
tomorrow? I thought it was on Sunday.
no, it's Saturday, I
Oh, it's
think.
tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm pretty darn sure.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't think we play
yeah, it
on
is, it
Sunday
is
because of the
Saturday.
tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like Dixon will play exclusively as a fifth man out against us, which they don't seem to do against anyone else, and it only seems to work against us, but it does work against us.
Very well.
Yeah. Dude,
I
I think is
I'd
averaging
watch it.
like 29 points a game in the last 2 years against us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. Again, we'll get practice with it. Not everyone can do it. Not everyone has the personnel to do it. Not everyone with the personnel to do it can do it well.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see, I guess.
Yep. So that was so little bit of Marquette review, a little bit of Villanova preview. Like it's one of those games, it's a scary spot but it's another one of those times I'm gonna say like we should know that it's a tough spot and therefore hopefully respond to it.
We won't, probably.
No, probably not. I mean, it's a road game in the Big East to start with. It's a team that absolutely needs a win and a team that has given us problems for the last 2, 3 seasons now.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I'm putting a very big bet. Like I said, I talked myself into betting us against St. John's. Not doing that. If I'm gonna be wrong, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be wrong this. Like I'm gonna be wrong fading us this time, and it's not necessarily supposed to be a knock on us, even though I'm sure it's gonna be taken that way. Which whatever do you want? Um, but yeah, it's a bad spot. I'd be very impressed if we won.
Yeah,
We'll probably
I'd
find
say
something
that.
to lose and make me upset, but I'm not going to be overly upset if we win or if we
I
lose.
I don't think the loss really hurts us that much. Like, does it maybe knock us down to a four? Like, yeah, maybe depending on what other teams do. The win would mean a lot more. I actually think that's a really impressive win if you can go on the road and get it done against a team that needs it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So it's a weird spot because we have almost nothing to lose from it. I do think that being the two in the Big East tournament at this point almost means nothing versus being the three because seeds 6 through 8 are so completely up in the air that there's no way to like plan or hope for which matchup you'd rather have.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think we can get the two even with a loss as long as Marquette loses.
Okay. Yeah. Who,
They're
who they got?
they're at Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, that's losable if Kolek doesn't play.
Yeah, so I think if they lose that game and Seton Hall wins at DePaul, then Seton Hall is the three.
And we're the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's your ideal situation right there. We are playing for much less than Villanova is.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't. I think KenPom had the line Nova -1. Like I'm absolutely gonna hammer Nova if that's the line.
Yeah, I think that would be the sharp perspective on that game.
We're
Like,
favored -1.5.
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Nova is not a great team, but they've been playing well lately, and it's a matchup problem for us. So, would it stun me if we win? No, not at all. Like, I think we are a good team, and a good team should win these games. Like you say, within a point of a pick 'em. So win them, 50, 55% of the time.
Mhm.
But college basketball is going to college basketball sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be surprised if it's like I said, it just means a lot. It feels like Dixon has one last tournament running on.
Yep, and we might very well turn around and get them again on Thursday because I think that's the most likely 3-6 matchup would be us and Nova.
Okay.
So it worked out for us last year. We'll see.
Yeah, worked out to us for us last year too. We just didn't show up in the semis.
Yeah, but that's a routine. So we got to not show up for at least one game in a Big East tournament, or else it doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I saw Big East tournament odds. UConn's -150. Uh, Marquette, I think us and Marquette were both like +450, +550.
Yeah, I'd wait till the bracket came out and I mean if you can get I don't know, Creighton or Marquette at those odds on the other side is maybe reasonable.
I was
But
gonna say like knowing that Seton Hall scenario is a possibility. Like if we're at +500 and we've got a second round matchup against Seton Hall,
mhm.
like I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. I think if you wanted to bet UConn, I think you'd probably be much better served just betting money line or only an over.
Agreed.
I don't know if that's true actually.
I think it would be.
It would be assuming if you can guarantee. I mean, if you can guarantee Marquette Creighton, then it's absolute like that they play both of them, then it's absolutely better.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's probably better regardless. I think yeah, you just want to roll it over.
I mean, they might get a low number against St. John's in a second round game just because they're being treated as true road games.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting. But right now, like imagining a 4-5 Marquette St. John's game with UConn as the one on that side, like you're setting up dream scenarios there.
Yeah, and do we know who we kind of want to play for the tournament yet? Like the overall tournament? Like we looked that far at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Like you mean in terms of like 13s and 14s?
Yeah.
It's hard just because so many. Like honestly, you could look at half of the 13-14 line, half of them won't make the tournament at all.
Yeah, that's true, which always kind of sucks. But
Yeah, because like right now, I would say like I'd probably want Vermont out of the 14s.
I definitely agree. I don't think they're good. I think Colgate's probably a 15, but if you can play them, I'd love that.
Well, they'll be a 14 by the time the tournament rolls around, just because a couple of teams that aren't ranked very highly in the net will win their tournament and push them up a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
But
that's a
yeah,
good point.
that's kind of what I'm thinking for that.
Okay. Um, yeah, other than that, I don't think
No, that we're running up against our limit here, so I think we'll probably draw this to an end.
yeah, I don't think there's yeah, too much more on my end, but happy he's locked up. Um, and looking forward to hopefully a good run in March.
Yep, I think optimism has been restored into the program. That's going to be a boost for recruiting going forward, that there's no uncertainty in the program. Um, so next time, which I assume we'll try to get back together Monday or Tuesday, we'll talk Big East tournament preview and we'll kind of do some full like end of season wrap up. Like we'll kind of talk through each player, maybe give everybody a grade
Yeah,
for the season at large and kind of do the same thing we did earlier in the year.
sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Are we aligned now? Sweet 16 minimum, Elite Eight, you're good with?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I think
Well,
that's fair.
let's do it.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today, folks. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yep. So, bye, everyone.